Yeah, do the chat. Feel asleep, but.
This is Tall Can Audio.
Well, what's happening, everybody? Welcome back inside the TCA Studio in beautiful Bytown, Canada for the first time in a couple weeks. Pull the curtain back for you. I was just as surprised as you were to hear this music bring us in. I was venting. Venting to Rob, having a bit of a day here, and it's like, all right, focus, lock in, let's go. Bam, wrong music. I'm like, fuck it, we're just rolling with it.
Spin the roulette wheel of musical openings.
What's happening, man?
I'm loving it.
Yeah,
I get to see your smiling face.
Perhaps at some point.
Sunny disposition.
Yeah, these are the things I'm known for. Certainly.
Yeah, it's true, man.
Yeah.
All the above, and it feels like it's been forever since I've been in studio.
Easter Monday. So.
Oh, that's right. The bat symbol went up.
Yeah, exactly. Rob came in to, well, bail out his own show.
Yeah.
So it's been just over 2 weeks. It's been an eventful 2 weeks.
Anything happened? Anything happened in that time frame?
Yeah, we'll talk about
Probably not.
some of it as we go here. We're on social media at Tall Can Audio. Give us a follow there and follow along. I don't know. Subscribe on the podcast app.
Mash buttons.
Yep. That's what we're doing on this side of the table, so why shouldn't you do it out there, good listener?
And you will find us there.
Yes, that's right. Thanks to Andrew Stoughton, who sat in on the Monday show. We try not to trouble him with anything, though, too far outside his wheelhouse, but...
well, if you have an area of expertise...
Yeah, wouldn't that be awesome?
Let's lean into that,
Yeah.
right? The rest of us can just swing and miss and...
And do.
Yeah.
We did ask him about Pete DeBoer going 9-0 in Game 7s. Weird stat, man.
That is a weird stat.
Of all the guys, like in North American sports, he's now tied for the most in, baseball, basketball, and hockey, all best of sevens. Which sport would it have meant the most in, right? Like, is being a basketball coach throwing in plays, or, a baseball manager handling a bullpen? We just kicked it around a little bit. So that was on the Monday show. And then, obviously, Blue Jays, who have been a bit of an adventure.
For sure.
On their own, or in their own right. So that's up now at talkingaudio.com or wherever you're hearing us right now. But Rob's back in, pinch hitting midweek. We did the old switcheroo.
It's midweek pints, because I was on the road on the weekend in the Dirty Hammer.
Yep.
Man, that place is a hole. Like, I haven't been there since the mid to early 90s.
Yeah. Really? To Hamilton?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's actually gotten shittier there. Like, when Sudbury is looking down on you.
Oh, no.
Hey, you're like, this is no good. Anyways, they're down there for a tournament, but spent the Saturday evening in Guelph. Like, it's like a 35-minute drive from Hamilton to Guelph.
Yes. You're not about to shit on that, too, are you?
No, Guelph is beautiful.
Okay.
But taking Highway 6 out of Hamilton, hit Breezy Corners, which also looks like a dump. Great name, but doesn't match. Sorry for you, good listener, who...
The Breezy Corner usually comes just before the dump.
This is it. Oh, it's a little windy in here. Just past Breezy Corners, though, I come across Ponderosa Family Nudist Colony.
Oh, I got really excited for a second.
Oh, the Ponderosa.
This is not the meat I was hoping to hear about today.
Way more meat, Matt, than you would be happy with. How are you feeling about if your parents come to you and say, kids, we're becoming naturalists, nudists?
Just the two of them?
No. All five. It's a family nudist colony.
I don't think they can still... I don't think they can push that on us when some of us are into our 40s.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not even any happier if it's just the two of them, but I can wish them well. And, you do what you got to do.
Unless unlikely pair of nudists than your parents, I don't know if I can.
Yeah. No.
No, probably not. But anyways, I thought, really? Seems odd.
We have one family member who's a bit of a tween. and she's taking heavy judgment around the dining room table with just the shorts getting a little too short or whatever. So, yeah, there's no fear of the Robinson family going nudist anytime soon.
Well, and it's interesting. Easter brunch. Mm-hmm. You know what? Yes, you see that, but I'm going to move in a lateral direction here. But yes, the idea that shorts, like since kids, teenagers started wearing leggings,
right,
which are essentially leotards without the skirt.
Yep.
And you're like, what the hell's going on here?
You crazy kids.
Yeah, well, it's like, yeah, I don't know. And then shorts, shorts are short. It's right there in the name. Shorts have gotten shorter and shorter.
Yeah. Well, even just as we kind of move into the beer, stopped in Perth on the way back to town.
Oh, love Perth.
Went into Bridgemasters, though, instead of Perth Brewery out on the highway.
You made the big move, 2 blocks in town.
Yeah, 2.2 kilometers off the highway. It was
that far, eh?
Yeah, it was a little further than I recalled, but made the trip over there. I bring it up anyway, just because someone in the car pointed out, the idea of a school uniform, and there must have been a Catholic school, and they were like, you can't possibly be supposed to roll those skirts up quite that high. Like this has to be an infringement on but they weren't in school. They were obviously walking home from school or whatever. And you're like, oh boy, right? Like
the tops of those get, as you say, rolled down, and the skirt gets higher and higher. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't imagine what it's like to be a grade 10 boy right now at a Catholic school. And, the meter stick is getting brought down across the knuckles pretty regularly, I would imagine.
I wasn't sure where you were going.
Yeah. No. The knuckles.
Because Matt can imagine. He's just like sweaty-faced.
So we did stop at Bridgemasters on the way through Perth. Been a while since we stopped there. It was under a different name there for a while, but they have been Bridgemasters for a bit now and just haven't been in. This is called Third's a Charm IPA. 5.7%. Doesn't say on here New England, doesn't say West Coast, says American, which I think both of those other two would have also classified as American. But yeah, 5.7%. We'll decide for ourselves where this one lies.
Yeah.
As it splashes out.
Yeah, interesting. First pull is it's not a West Coast.
Mm-mm.
I'm not getting any of that extra hoppiness up front.
Right. I had on the Monday show, a West Coast IPA from Town Brewery out of Whitby. And it was maybe the best West Coast IPA I've had in
West Coast
6 months or so, yeah. Just
really
crisp, snap, bite, right? Like everything you want out of that ultra bitter kind of super hoppy West Coast IPA. Very nice beer. I can't remember off the top of my head now the name of it, but it was from Town Brewery. It's up on our Instagram at Tall Can Audio if you want to check it out there.
Man, I showed up in Guelph and they had a bit of everything for me. There was some West Coast. There was a couple of New Englands. They had the Innocent Gun rum barreled, which is delicious.
Yeah. I'll settle down right here and...
Yeah, no, I drank them all, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
I drank everything they had.
Oh, okay.
In fact, going into bed that night, my better half said, what are you doing?
Are we still in breezy corners?
You drank all the beer. You drank everything. Like, you on a mission? I'm like, oh, man, I dehydrated.
Aren't you impressed?
No. I think you know
I did this for you.
I think you know the answer to that. But yeah, I was thirsty, man. I gotta properly dehydrate myself for a trip of that length.
Sure.
So when you get there,
I have to rehydrate.
a man is thirsty.
Yeah.
And there was that kick-ass Dallas Colorado game was on that night too. So
that was incredible. We can get into some of that.
yeah. Okay. Anyways, the beer, I find the beer to be
I would say it's fine.
fine.
Yep.
Is a good start.
Yep. I'm getting a little bit of citrus off of it, but nothing overly prominent. I don't find it overly juicy. I certainly don't find it to be, crispy like a nice West Coast.
Right.
So I'm not super sure what they're going for here, but
It certainly leans more towards, but the New England
it would,
style.
yeah.
But it doesn't have. I'm missing any of the crispness.
No. Yeah.
To be honest with you, it kind of has that
And it really isn't all that juicy either.
Well,
like it's hazy.
It's like a flat juicy.
Yeah, okay.
If you want to sort of look at it that way, but thanks. You've provided both beers. You didn't mention that. I think we're both drinking the same beer.
Oh yes, sorry. These, like I said, grabbed these out of Bridgemaster on the way through today. At around the time the Catholic high school let out. So apparently,
yes.
Look, it's been a couple of weeks. No, you were on once by phone after game 3. Yeah, of Leafs and Sens. So there's been some things since then. Why don't we get the most immediate out of the way first? Maybe it isn't the actual most immediate, but the draft lottery was on Monday night.
Fixed.
It's so funny because this is the first time they've ever decided to actually show you the way the ping pong balls go and the process, the way it played out. And I've never heard people howl louder that it's fixed. And it's because, for anybody who's missed this, it comes on the heels of earlier that day. Now, everyone has known this was coming, but they officially announced we're taking the All-Star game away from the Islanders because it was always a really stupid idea.
Terrible.
To bring all your guys to New York, let's have our little All-Star game, and then everybody gets on the plane to go to Italy for the Winter Olympics. Literally, you were leaving from the All-Star game, so whatever shit show the All-Star game already is, it was going to be even worse. The governor of New York has weighed in, unhappy that the All-Star game has been taken away. I guess this was going to be super big, noticeable economic impact for New York. One more hockey game.
Clearly a Long Island resident.
Maybe, yeah. And so at the end of the day, they jump up. This is the biggest jump ever in draft lottery history to land at number 1. I guess
Rangers at 2, Flyers at 2.
I was going to say, I think it's the Flyers went from 13 to 2 at one point, okay. and this was 11 to 1 or 10 to 1 or something. So the biggest one to ever land at number 1, it's San Jose second, that's fine. Chicago at third, that's fine. Utah 4.
Utah jumped big up jump to 4.
Yeah, because they were actually still in the playoff race. Actually, so were the Islanders for a while. Nashville at 5.
Nashville got the couple cold fingers in the backside there. Eh? They're like the terrible season, and you go, oh, but we just slid right out of the top 3.
Has it ever been worse, like ever, to be a fan of any team than it is to be a Buffalo Sabres fan right now? You have another awful year while everyone that you're supposed to be grouped with, I guess except Detroit, but Ottawa comes forward, Montreal comes forward. You know, Detroit last year was in it right to the last day of the season. Buffalo bottoms out again, and I saw one of their fans tweet out, the Sabres had a 6.5% chance of winning the lottery and getting up to number 1. Obviously didn't do it. Only had a 5.6% chance of landing at 9 and did do it. Like, fuck. Red Wings fall back a spot again. Yeah. Look, we're not going to go through the entire order, but, you know, did you watch it?
I didn't.
I didn't either, honestly. Although it's just always so bad.
Well, and everything the NHL does production-wise, but watching the clips and there's only 42 people on the stage, you know, it's like for anybody who's ever done a urine test where you have, I'm peeing in a cup, there's somebody watching me pee in a cup, there's somebody watching person watching me, and then there's somebody like there's like 5 people all like,
yeah,
you're like, and the winner is La La Land. And you're like, whoa, what the fuck?
We're all losers here.
Yeah, no, exactly. There are no winners. Although it's been said, you let Lou Lamoriello go.
That was my takeaway.
Okay, and then you go, bam! Yeah. The fates are smiling down on us.
Finally let go of Lou. Good things will come to you.
Yeah, so you're in one of 2 camps. You're like, this is manna from heaven for getting rid of the old mafiosa, or it's fixed because, you got to do something for taking away their lovely All-Star game.
I'm pretty pumped that in 8 years the Leafs are getting an Islander captain, some sort of first overall superstar.
Well, okay, 8 years, yeah, probably. He was drafted in 09, came here, yeah, so yeah, probably right. James Hagan.
Well, this is the interesting thing, and, I'm not going to, as usual, pretend to know a whole lot. Like, this is one of those weird drafts where there is no slam dunk, but people are talking about Matthew Schaefer, the defenseman, who was making a killer impact for Canada at the World Juniors till he wasn't, and they missed him very much. James Higgins is a New York kid, an Islander fan. But there are other,
Misa.
A lot of the draft experts will say is the next best player after Schaefer, right? The best forward in the draft would be Misa. So I'm wondering whether
not on Canada's World Junior team.
Yeah.
Quite like James Hagan was.
Same struggling.
On the winning U.S. team. Who needs more scoring?
This is one of those things when you're first overall, like everyone says all the time, draft best player available, not for position. And that is even more true at number 1. But is this mushy enough that you'd consider it? Like, at least James Hagan isn't leaving you for Toronto or whatever that might be. An Islander fan growing up.
Are you sure about that? I don't know, man. I think I'm just taking the best talent.
Yeah.
I think I'm taking, and I think.
Does it matter to you that you already have Dobson and you don't have a whole lot of young? You do have Cole Eiserman, and he and James Higgins are best friends by all accounts. I don't follow their Instagrams, but
Cole Eiserman, not loving that guy either.
Yeah, no, I know, but you've got Dobson, you've got your number 1,
but still Dobson is of an age, not old by any stretch, but. Man, if you're bringing in an 18-year-old, Dobson's got to be 27, 20.
Oh, you think? I got him like 22, 23. Hey, Siri, how old is Noah Dobson?
Noah Dobson is 25 years old.
Right. Saw it off.
Saw it off right in the middle. 25. Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't change to me. It doesn't change to me in that you got to go with the best guy.
Yeah.
You got to go. And in terms of... Now, the Islanders have been crying out for an offensive talent.
Mm-hmm.
So that may fly in the face, and maybe you do go with, if you feel like it's close enough between Misa and Hagan.
I wonder what you could get out of San Jose to trade back one spot. You can go up there, you can take Schaefer at 1, but then why does San Jose do it if they already think you want?
Well, without having it right on hand, I got to think that San Jose has bankrolled a pile of draft picks.
Yeah. And you have Celebrini and Will Smith. You're probably looking for
a dynamic defenseman.
A Matthew Schaefer, yeah.
Well, Matt, get Mike Greer on the phone right here. Too bad we didn't have him. Okay. Hey, Mike, what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
But to me, that is interesting. Take the pressure off, get an asset for it.
Yep.
Probably a pretty decent asset.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's the dumbest thing ever, and I think they got to fix that draft lottery. Like, to me, that's...
Oh, it was fixed.
Yeah, but fix it so that it works.
Oh.
Like, it just, to me, this seems ridiculous.
It is, every year, it is the ultimate, hey, this could have been an email. Like, this did not need to be a 30-minute televised broadcast where you know for the first 21 minutes they're not announcing anything. They're just going to interview people and build it up, and it's just not a good product, the draft lottery. The way it's actually determined, I don't know, we've talked about that, but it's not a good show, I can tell you that.
I think having people outside the top 10 having the opportunity to win the first, it's not good.
There are certain, if you want to sort the standings and, leave out the playoffs, the Islanders are as high as 23rd. First overall pick. Good for you, man.
Yeah.
Do you got any beef with, for me, I would have hated to see the Bruins get in there. A lot of people are still holding hatred towards the Blackhawks. I don't know if that's the scandal. Like, to me, I'll never forgive those people, but they're all out of the organization. So, my beef with the Blackhawks in that regard, they're brutal. They get to draft high. That's the way that plays. The Sharks, I got no beef with. The Preds, I got no beef with. Utah, I actually think it's kind of funny to see them win the lottery the year after they leave Arizona.
To me, No. I think the 2 in 5 years rule that they already have, where you can't win more than 2 in 5,
Yep.
that kind of takes that away, and it's sort of, no, I don't have any problem. Like, to me, Chicago, well, I don't know, it's short of the scandal and the way that all was handled, but as you suggested, they've now purged the franchise of
Your
all those
beef
people.
was with Stan Bowman in Edmonton, not with
Joe
Kyle
Quenneville, soon to
Davidson.
be in Anaheim.
I guess so. Do you want to talk about the 2 Game 7s, or do you want to get right into the second round here?
Just in the briefest of things, and as somebody who's followed loosely Rantanen all season since he got traded, as somebody who traded for him in his hockey pool, just before he got traded from Colorado to Carolina and cratered.
Yep.
And then, he moved on to Dallas, and you're like, okay, this will be
Here
better.
we go.
Nah, not so much. And then the first 3 games of the playoffs, 4 games even, you're like, fucking, and you signed this mammoth contract. This guy's doing shit.
Yep. So 11 points in the last 3 games.
Yeah. And so back-to-back 2 games of 4 each, including the 4 points in the third period of Game 7.
Unbelievable. Man.
Against the team that didn't want to sign you for whatever.
Could not have shoved it any harder up Colorado's abs.
In your face. Yeah, that was, it had to, I was kind of hoping for Colorado in that series.
Yeah, same.
But you kind of have to feel.
And it felt like no Heiskanen, no Robertson, even a guy like Sagan, who's now just a supporting piece, but just coming back. Like, for all the talk of what that series was supposed to be, when it started, you were like, I don't think this is going to play out quite the way we had all hoped. And yet, it ends up going 7, and Dallas ends up winning it. It did deliver.
Yeah.
And that third period was absolutely incredible.
It was it was happening. We were eating dinner, and it was sort of it was happening behind me, and I kept looking, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here, man? The third period was nuts.
Yeah.
And so it was great, and you got to feel good for the athlete, for Mikko Rantanen, right? Like, that's got to be. Again, listening to McKinnon afterwards, you feel badly for him because I think he's a gamer, like an absolute gamer, and for him, and he said it like a fan would say it. And he's like, they don't have their best defenseman, they don't have their best forward, and we still couldn't beat them. So I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, the end of that quote is far more damning. He said, so I don't know what we're doing here.
Right. Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now, maybe that's just a throwaway phrase, or maybe it's, I didn't want you to trade that guy. I didn't want, and now we're sitting here out again.
He didn't want them to trade that guy.
No. So.
Bednar did not want to trade that guy. And the best thing ever would be if they were to fire Bednar. Like, this is you fired.
Well, I have this on my my little agenda here. I wasn't going to get to it till later, but we're here. They haven't won a series since 2022 when they won the Cup.
Since winning the Cup, yeah.
And, it would be hard for me to pin much of this on Bednar. He's incredibly well-respected across the league.
Great hair.
Sure. You did trade away your second-line center and then spend several years trying to replace him. It wasn't Casey Middlestat. I really liked the Brock Nelson deal. I think most people did, as well as the Charlie Coyle deal. I think Coyle will be fine there. I don't think there's any chance Nelson's staying. That didn't fit at all. It just didn't work. Right. And sometimes it just doesn't. You draw it up and you think that trade will make sense. He didn't seem to fit at all. So I would imagine you're back to square one on that point. And the reason I bring it up, I don't know what else they do, because coming out of that 2022, they were the next Tampa. They beat Tampa. They're the next Tampa. They're the next Chicago. They're the next Pittsburgh. This is about to be a dynasty. And they can't get out of the goddamn first. One of those is a loss to Seattle in the first round the next year. And I guess you could fire Bednar. I probably wouldn't. And the reason I bring it up is I don't know how much attention you paid to that crazy business just before the NBA playoffs started, where the Nuggets decide, this is a fucking mess. Fire the GM, fire the coach, all of it on the eve of the playoffs. And so while I don't think Bednar is the problem, there appears to be an ownership that is willing to go, no, fuck that, I'm unhappy, and do some crazy shit.
Yeah, the only difference is Bednar is sort of susceptible. Although when you win a cup, you bring a cup, it's hard to say. Joe Sakic seems kind of untouchable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in terms of...
He's president now. Who's the GM? What's that guy's name again?
McFarland?
Yeah, that's right. Chris McFarland.
So it is kind of like a Cam Neely situation, right? Yeah. Where you're never... And I think it's a wise idea, man, to get away from... If you look at Jeff Gorton in Montreal,
yep.
You take the president and have a hands-on, like Rutherford in Vancouver or whatever it is, yep. Right? You go, I can fire the GM for my decisions, right? Like these hands-on presidents, that sort of...
what's his name in Vegas? McCrimmon.
That's McCrimmon is the GM.
No, he's moved up to president.
No, that was...
Oh, you're right. No, George McPhee moved up
George McPhee, crazy
president.
guy from Washington.
That's right, crazy guy. No, you're right.
And so the guys who go, okay, you know what? I'm going to make these all... And still have a heavy hand on the rudder.
Kyle Dubas gets to Pittsburgh. Exhaustive search for a GM to be underneath him. I'll just do it.
Yeah. Okay, but that's the same with Steve Stais,
yes.
right?
Yeah,
and here,
that's right.
And you sort of look around and you go, oh, I'm the president and the GM. Let's look around.
Hire my advisor...
I guess it's going
to be the coach at the end of the day.
Right? Yeah. It's one of those things where I am in charge of finding the next coach. I've looked around and I can't find anybody better than me.
No. It would be difficult to do.
It would be difficult to me. So anyways, it would be very hard to, especially, but when you have two of the top 6 players in the world on your team, hello, Edmonton Oilers.
Yep.
Now that's a bit of a shit show. There's all kinds of rotating Ken Holland, Jackson, Bowman. You know, there's a bunch
Chiarelli.
of Bowman. There's a bunch of things happening there. But yeah, to me, they got Rob Blake. He's a former Av. They want to make a change at the GM position.
We've mutually agreed to tell each other to fuck off.
Hey, get bent.
Yeah. Look, we can circle back on a little bit of that. Actually, Rob Blake should have been on my agenda here, but isn't. We can get to that later. Why don't we talk about the second round, which has begun?
It's begun.
We're sitting here on Tuesday afternoon, so we have only seen one game thus far.
Feels like 4, doesn't it?
It came with some stories. It came with
there's got to be moistness in your underwear after all that.
It's more solid than that.
I meant perspiration.
Oh, well, it's out there now. Well, quickly, let's get... Do you plan, like, is it on your radar at any point, even if it goes 7, that you must sit down and watch Washington, Carolina?
No.
That could not be any less interesting to me. And the only reason there's a chance it lands on my TV at any point, it's because the Jays have gone out west and... alternating nights, there'll be nothing on in the early slot.
It's not appointment TV for me.
I don't care about this series.
I am interested to see the way the season ended with those two teams, with the Chatfield Slewfoot, and then with the final
50s
game.
50s dance move.
Yeah, but do
the Chatfield Slewfoot.
The Lindy. We're doing the Lindy. And then that last game they played between the two of them that turned into like an absolute shit show.
Okay.
And so, it seems unlikely that that's going to carry over, but there is there are some intriguing storylines in that. The late games honestly have less interest for me.
Really?
Because they're late.
Yeah. That's becoming a real struggle for me.
But B, I don't think the Winnipeg... I want to see Winnipeg win. Mm-hmm. I don't think they have a snowball's chance in hell.
So, yeah. Okay.
And then the Edmonton-Vegas thing, I'm just like, I have no...
I've watched people do the hard sell on that Winnipeg-St. Louis Game 7. It was incredibly entertaining for the last 5 minutes of the third.
Which is what I saw.
And the first period was... like a car crash, oh my God, it's happening. But it wasn't entertaining hockey, right? And that was the Hellebuck story.
Right.
And what did they do?
It was a storyline that was intriguing.
And then, honestly, it's Sunday night. It's been a couple of late nights. I'm looking to finish up editing the show and go to bed, and it won't end, right? Like and I was getting ready to tweet just as they scored, like, oh, right, I remember I don't care about this series, right? Like, double overtime in Game 7 should be fascinating, and it wasn't to me. The story was fascinating. The action was not.
See, to me, I was on the road, and I didn't get home, and I got home in time, and I said to the assistant, what's the score in the Jets game? Mm-hmm. I said 3-1 St. Louis, and I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
So I went up, 5 minutes to go, so that's where I came in. And so to see it finish the way it did was incredible. And I watched the first.
It was.
I watched the first overtime.
Yeah.
And they were going for it. Like to me, the hockey was exciting.
Yes.
In that first overtime. Now, not exciting enough for me to stay for the second overtime because I'd been on the road all weekend. Yeah. I'm just like, you know what? Work at 7 a.m.
See what this looks like tomorrow.
Exactly. I'm going to find out, and I don't really have any stake in it.
Yeah.
But
so to me, the thing here now. On Tuesday, Morrissey and Scheifele skated, but in non-contact jerseys. So I assume they're not playing.
They're not playing. I bet you Morrissey doesn't play again in this series.
It was impressive to watch Winnipeg pull that out of the fire the way they did and eventually win with those guys out of the lineup and not knowing whether your goaltender was...
With Pionk playing 48 minutes?
Honest to God, man.
What?
Like... Top line center Adam Lowry, who power to him, man.
I love that guy though.
Sure,
man,
great player.
Guy.
Great player, great captain.
Yeah.
I'm curious because the thing that was stacking up to me, and part of it is just reading the meltdowns happening throughout the game online, which is always insightful, if nothing else, or
entertaining, if nothing else.
Much like this show, rarely insightful, but hopefully entertaining. Is it possible that we are inside a 2-week, 3-week, 4-week stretch where Connor Hellebuck wins the Vezina, is at least nominated for the Hart, and has absolutely sewered his chance of being Team USA's #1 goalie at the Olympics next year?
Yep. 100%. I wouldn't take him. I wouldn't
Would
use
you not
him.
take him or would you not start him?
I wouldn't start him.
I think that's where I'm at too. Like, part of this is going to depend on the start Swayman gets off to next year. But if Dallas rolls over Winnipeg, which I kind of
think is going to happen,
5 or 6 games, how do you not go? Okay, Hellebuck didn't really give me the big. It's a 1-game thing at the Four Nations, as it will be at the Olympics. Yeah, but Hellebuck didn't steal that for me.
But again, Binnington was the better goalie.
Yep.
In Game 7.
Yes.
Not only did he win the Four Nations.
Yep. Now, okay, but they're not competing with each other.
I understand. Yeah. I understand what you're saying. But nobody, you pull 100 people, nobody's telling you that Binnington is the better goalie than Hellebuck.
No. So
but yet head-to-head.
And this isn't the first time we've done this with Hellebuck in the playoffs when the pressure goes up. And he does rebound. He didn't have to be incredible in overtime, but he was still aggressive. He was getting out high. He was doing the things you want to see him do again.
8 shots or something in overtime. It wasn't.
No, I'm with you. So you didn't win me the Four Nations. Not that it was all your fault, but you weren't spectacular. You didn't steal it. You haven't had great playoffs. You might be about to lose to Ottinger, and all of this stacking up on top of you at the same time. You might will win the Vezina. It's a question of whether he's going to win the Hart.
Well,
I think he'll be nominated.
And let's not read too much into any of these things, because if you look at the worlds that are getting ready, World Hockey Championships that are getting ready to roll in Stockholm, Sweden has said, no thank you, Markstrom. No thank you, Gustafsson. No thank you, Ullmark, who are all 3 of their goalies from the Four Nations. They've decided to go with Ervidsson or Ermanson or whatever the guy from Philadelphia. It's Ersson, yeah. No, who cares? Like just, and a Swedish elite league goalie, and like to me, it's like you can't read too much into these things, but
well, I think that's a little different. But it's wild to think that this guy that we all acknowledge is the best goalie in the world keeps falling apart in the playoffs. Does the Game 7 win clear any of that away for you? He got it done. And if he goes on, has a good second round here, we could put that all to bed. Or is this now going to be a thing when you're picking your team? Like,
it was absolutely a thing at the Four Nations Cup. Like, that was the storyline, right? Oh, crunch time.
And that was with only one playoff collapse. Now you got two.
Well, and they haven't got out of the first round since they went to the conference final.
But I don't remember it being pinned on him quite as much. And sometimes you've been the underdog, and like they've had a couple runs now where you're supposed to win these.
You know what? They won a series in the Canadian division during the pandemic. If we're including
that's
that.
right. Yep. No, that's right.
Because they then lost
to the Habs
in round 2.
Well, we all did, man.
Which
you could only hope.
Yeah. Well, some of us didn't even get a chance to lose to the Habs.
Careful how you frame this, but yeah.
So, including Scheifele blowing up Jake Evans, I know Habs fans love that.
Yeah.
Love that Scheifele.
So yeah, okay. Edmonton, Vegas. To me, you're not. I'm surprised you're not interested, but it's just the time of day.
Well, it's a time of day, but it's also, what do you think is going to happen there?
I honestly have no idea. The Edmonton doesn't look very good, but Minnesota stepped up and punched Vegas in the face early in that series. I'm not sure they're at their best either. I'll take Aiden Hill over Cal Pickard.
I'll take Aiden Hill and their defense in Vegas and the Bruce Cassidy coaching over Edmonton. Now, you know what? I thought LA was going to beat Edmonton in 6 maybe.
Yeah. Especially, and we're up 2-0. And
yeah, Jim Hiller, good for you, buddy. You done good, son.
You're not going to be back come hell or high water, man.
Yeah, but maybe you are, unless the new GM comes in and goes, fuck that. DJ Smith, you're hired.
Whoops.
Oh, maybe
when
not.
When has that ever gone wrong?
Maybe not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, never, Matt. Never.
To me, it'll be a good series. I couldn't tell you how it's going to go. I don't think either of these teams are as good as I expected they would be at this point running into each other. I look at them both going, bit of a speed wobble, right? Like,
I like Vegas.
Okay.
And again, I wouldn't mind seeing Edmonton win.
Yeah.
I don't have an axe to grind with Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. I think that's a faulty construction of a team.
Yeah.
You've invested all that money, and then that's the D and the goaltending you have.
I never particularly liked Jeff Skinner. Now I kind of feel bad for him. Like, spend all this time trying to play in the playoffs. Finally got there, went and signed with a team where it's a guaranteed you will be in the playoffs. They took one look at you in game 1 and said, yeah, no, you're scratched, man. Go step. Like,
not so good. Yeah.
I feel a little bad for that guy.
But you look at Arvidsson and Skinner, and those are the things you know, and then they obviously the Holloway and the Broberg, the drop ball there in the offseason, that the signing of Skinner and Arvidsson sort of puts you in that position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Ekholm thing, yeah. So
that's killing them.
If you're going with Pickard and there's no Ekholm, and you're just like, oh.
Yep.
Oh, goodness.
And yet we have seen those top two guys sometimes, fuck, I don't care. I'm going to score 15 points in the next 9 periods. And
yeah. No, and there is that.
Yeah.
And so I really don't know, but to me, I just don't like what they've done there.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot about the Edmonton roster that I sort of, you fucked up.
You've done bad.
They fucked up, and then you just, I can't cheer for that.
Speaking of things, I was going to say,
you can't
cheer for?
Yeah.
Are you the only person in Ontario right now cheering for the Florida Panthers?
Am I the only person in Ontario?
I'd like to think the good
Have you poked your head out your window?
I'd like to think the good people of Ottawa took a look at that team and went, no, they're gross.
Fuck that, man. Everybody here, as soon as, and it's funny because
I know.
It's not very becoming.
I've seen an awful lot of Ottawa Twitter trying to stand behind good Sam Bennett today. And
I would have Sam Bennett on my team in a heartbeat.
Because it's safer than having him.
Yeah, it's exactly if he's pointed that way.
Yeah.
No, it's as soon as the Ottawa-Toronto series ended, people were like, yeah, well, you may have kicked my ass, but my big brother is going to kick your ass. You're going to see that.
Quite literally.
No, then that's
Big Brother.
and that's actually how it worked out.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a little unbecoming of a fan base to go, wow,
Who's next?
We didn't lose,
Rats.
we didn't win, but you're
Moving
gonna get smashed in the next round. And so I'd like to sort of, rein that in just a smidge. I don't want to say too much of that, but I did.
It's like rats looking for a new, abandoning ship, looking for a new one, and there's a ship over there with a lot of rats already. So we can
out the gun holes, and you're like, where are we going? Right over there looks good, right there.
Yeah.
No,
that face looks like a rat. I can get to that.
Yeah, no, I am. So you know how it is.
I do know how it is.
It's and the Leafs are always postseason appointment TV for me.
So
love that.
They're up 1-0. Doesn't.
Felt pretty exciting, didn't it?
It didn't. I didn't walk away from that game high knees and tra-la-la-la, like things
overhead claps and
right.
high kicks.
No.
Woo!
Yeah, no, not much of it.
How did you feel at the end of one?
Well,
4 shots against, up 3-1.
Great start.
Just looking
The
good.
most encouraging part of that wasn't even the 2-0. It was right after Florida scores to make it 2-1. Willie comes back.
19
goes,
seconds?
Fuck
Whatever that
you.
was.
No, that was Riley. You're right. That was 19 seconds later. Fuck that. Like composure there. We're going to answer here. That to me was the most exciting part of that game. It would get
What was happening in your
exciting.
head? What was happening in your head when that goal went in? The 3-1 goal.
I think we're probably going to win game 1. I'm not prepared.
Was there a fist pump? Was there
there was a yell.
A nod towards the TV, kind of like a
No, there was a yell. There was a yeah. I don't fist pump much. But through most of the series, it's either like I'm just muttering to myself through play, and if we score, it's like fucking good. And if we get scored on,
fucking time.
and if we get scored on, it's like fuck off.
Yeah, it's fucking your fault.
You're right.
It's happening again.
Right. So there's very little yelling and yay and whatever else. But that one, I was like, okay, we're going to take game 1. And I went into this series thinking, look, there's a million different ways to win or lose a series, and the Leafs are capable of showing you all of them over the course of it, mostly losing.
We gonna do it.
But they had, in my opinion, they had to have game 1. And it wasn't even just the confidence. It's Ekblad being out. It's can you jump on Bobrovsky, or like Tkachuk is, for the second series in a row, I'm going to be using the phrase Tkachuk is clearly not healthy. Grab this one at home and see if you can have that go to your confidence. Like if you come out and even like a 4-1 loss where you didn't get pumped, you played okay, but there's an empty netter, and that would have felt too familiar. They're like 3 wins in their last 12 against Florida, including the playoffs. Like you had to get something here, and having Ekblad out, that was the time to do it. And you could walk away going, we're in this. We now got to win 3 more, and that's doable. And yet, when your starting goalie gets crippled out of the series, and you did see at the buzzer, it's amazing how much oxygen, quite fairly, the Stolarz thing is taking up. At the buzzer, Sam Reinhart slew-foots Benoit, and Matt Tkachuk tries to go knee-on-knee with Marner, and when he misses him, he turns and goes, well, then fuck you, and cross-checks him in the back. I missed one dirty play, so I'll get him.
And he was chasing him.
Yes.
He was just like, 100%.
And so there's a little bit of this, like I was I'll tell you, outside of the fucking good at 3-1, I was a little nervous about the third being up so much.
Yeah.
Like, oh, somebody's getting murdered in this third. And so when Florida started getting back into it, like, this is probably safer than...
The closer the game gets...
There's less violence.
Maiming, less maiming will happen on
that
the
was
ice.
on my mind going into the third period, was like, oh, if this gap remains up to like the 10-minute point, someone's going down hard.
So you were happy for the early goal to make it 4-2.
Well, that's a emotionally complicated way to frame
Woo!
it. But yeah.
I feel better now.
Yeah.
Get one more and then we're good to go.
What did you make of the Bennett Stolarz thing?
I feel like it's you're leading me in a certain direction here.
I could not have possibly left it more wide open for you to take it where you want to. Did not preamble anything.
I think it's probably a 2-minute minor.
I would have been fine with that.
I think that's probably what it is. But I probably think that the Pacioretty hit on Stern behind the net probably was worth more than that.
I woke up Tuesday morning expecting to be infuriated by we have fined Sam Bennett $27 maximum allowable under the CBA.
It's time to upgrade that for guys aren't making $47,000 anymore.
Man.
Can you now, for guys who are making entry level $850 or minimum $850, can we not sort of
we got to
bump
bump
that
this
up?
a little? So that's what I expected to see, only because there was no penalty. I expected when they went back and looked at it.
Ekblad had no penalty, and he got 2 games.
And I didn't expect there would be 2 games. I wasn't even sure if it was worth 1. But when you don't penalize him, I was like, they don't want to suspend him, so he'll get fined. And it was no later than like 8:30 a.m. Chris Johnston's already on Twitter like, yep, not going to be any supplemental. And you're like, fuck. Because this is a guy who rock bottomed Matthew Nyes out of the series in 2023.
A little DDT.
Sucker punched Brad Marchand out of their series last year.
You loved it, though. You loved that. Didn't you love that?
Well, you got to recall, I had just been eliminated, so that was probably a second round I was sitting out, right?
Okay,
like I
you probably weren't
didn't,
watching.
No, I was
Yeah,
still
all right.
sulking, right?
So I get that.
Yeah, any brewing on Panther violence, while not upsetting, was probably not on my radar. Before that, look, after that, in the final last year, there's a controversial one where he kicks Stuart Skinner's foot out from underneath him. There's a play with Jason Dickinson. There's like, I don't have a whole lot of time for benefit of the doubt for Sam Bennett.
So when you look at that play,
yeah,
because the whole thing of the vomiting and the pulling himself, not pulling himself, because clearly the vomiting into the bucket is
an indication someone should pull me.
Yeah, I think the concussion came from the Reinhardt shot, to be honest with you. If that's what we're talking about, and I am not a doctor.
You are not.
But like it's not the Bennett grazing with his forearm that is causing this.
Subtle.
It to me, that's not a head. It's not a chicken wing. It's not a It's not a zoob on Tavares.
Yeah, can people stop?
So, to me, it's if he's not vomiting and he plays the rest of that game, you're not even talking about this.
Well, I guess no, because it probably means he was fine.
Yeah, but I don't think that.
There's no way to know that. And what we do know is that, because you're right, I think that it's incredibly. I think it's absolutely possible that there was a cumulative effect.
Yes.
But those masks are designed in a way to dissipate the force, right?
Pressure from the front. Yeah.
And so it kind of hit on the chin, a little off to the side. The strap goes flying off. I got time for it, but goalies get hit in the head a lot, man.
Right.
And they don't go to the bench vomiting.
Right.
I think it's possible that was the first, step or first.
Well, when you see him when he got hit and the straps come off and the helmet come and he's sort of shaking his head.
Yeah, they all do that, though.
I know, but it didn't look good.
No.
It didn't look good at that time. And
this sounds like an awful long way to try and say Sam Bennett's just a good old Canadian boy playing hard.
No.
It was that other thing 10 minutes earlier that he played through.
I do think it is. Yeah. I do think it is more that than the Bennett play. I think the Bennett play was a penalty. Yeah. I think it should have been. Now, when you see the two different angles, the one, like watching it live, I didn't think it was anything.
No. And when you look at the angle the referee is on,
right,
he doesn't see that. But afterwards, when you show from above,
it's the above angle that shows the head moving forward.
Well, and the arm come out.
Yeah. No, but I'm talking about him, Stolarz, and his. Because if you listen to the Joe Bowen and Jim Ralph.
Yeah, I haven't heard that, to be honest with you.
Call of it.
Yeah.
Joe Bowen is saying, well, this is a great bit of acting, if nothing else. We have a Leaf player down, and this buys time. Yeah. And then it's fun. After Ralph sees the...
It's like, oh, maybe
he's like, well, he's like, Bennett kind of. Yeah. So, in live time...
Yes.
Even the most partisan Leaf people...
And so to come all the way back around, that's why I thought we were getting a fine the next morning. He should have been penalized probably 2 minutes. It's not enough for a suspension. We got to do something. And they didn't even do that. So
what do you think is going to happen in game
not
2?
much. Well, I think Joseph
on the
Wall's
ice.
going to start.
No. I mean, in terms of...
They were asking Berube, though, on Tuesday. He's like, no, he's here. He's in the building. Had breakfast with us. Is he available tomorrow? Well, we'll see. We'll talk to him. Dude was just like, clean up crew behind the bench, please. He's not available tomorrow.
Stretchered out of the arena.
I'll be surprised, to be honest with you, if he's available the rest of the series.
Right.
And I'm not trying to exaggerate. I don't know. But
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, when you take a blow like that and leave on a stretcher, you're more than a few days away.
Well, we've both been around enough athletes when there's vomiting involved with, I don't know if this is bad scallops or shrimp, right? I should have went with the California roll. Every time that's the deal. But it's the vomiting is... You, my friend,
You're fucked up. It's time to go home. Your party's over.
Party's over, said the girl. Yeah, it happens all the time.
Before the game even started, our friend Dean Brown, the voice of the Ottawa Senators, he tweeted out, he's like, the most interesting storyline I'll be following in this series is how many Toronto Maple Leafs end up with head injuries. He goes, I can't explain it, but something happens when you play the Florida Panthers. A lot of people seem to hurt their head.
Yes.
And then after Stolarz leaves, it's just a reply underneath where he's like, well, there's one. And the first reply to him is from, and I'm not trying to be an ass.
Stolarz' wife?
No, but it's more, I'm not even trying to be an asshole, but it's like, Captain Sens fan 1991. And it's like, look at it. He vomited. He's obviously sick. And you're like, he's sick now. I don't think there's much chances because he had a bad dinner at the Scotiabank Lounge.
No, this is what I'm saying. You gotta stick with the red meat. Don't get crazy with the seafood, the shellfish, especially. That'll get you.
And so to be very callous about it, like, and if Stolarz,
I'm here for it.
If Stolar's wife is trolling around Twitter and ripping people for not being sensitive enough, this would be a spot where we'll hear from her. Part of my reaction wasn't just that he's out and he's just like, there would have to be a wrinkle. Like, things were going so well. And now, instead of thinking about, is this guy okay? I'm like, oh, fuck. And they did sort of immediately recoil a little, right? Like,
well, they just saw their starting goal vomiting and then stretchered out.
Right.
You have that intel in the room. You're like, hey, Stoli has just been like...
And they did refind it. Like they recalibrated to defend a bit, and there's always going to be that third period push, right, from the team that's trailing. Yeah. I thought all the way through it, Woll looked shaky, but you're coming in mid-game. You haven't played in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm prepared to give him... I thought he looked better in those last 10 minutes of the second period than he did in the third, which seems counterintuitive. You'd think you'd come out, you'd get the warm-up.
You're on adrenaline. You're out there giving her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joseph Woll has come in the last 2 playoffs, mid-series, and been fine.
Samsonov wasn't good enough.
It's true.
Period. Full stop.
Yeah. What's your point? But yeah, no, that doesn't guarantee he just leaps back in again like Superman, but it does give you a little confidence that he'll be okay. But
I think the Leafs are, of all the teams in the NHL or in the playoffs, especially the ones left, I think they're in about as good a shape in terms of they have a 20-win. Well, they have a 20-win backup.
Yeah, in that regard.
That's all I meant.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Is in terms.
Yeah, no.
of,
if Bobrovsky goes down, you're turning to Vivek Vanacek, and that's going to be problematic. I don't even know who ought.
What's a safe word? What's our safe word? It's not good, man.
No.
So I think
Cormier or what's his Eric backing up Hellebuck? It's not Cormier, but it's something like that. Comrie. Eric Comrie,
sure.
Well, Edmonton's using their backup. They must be happy. Things must be going well out there.
Sorry, man, I take it back. All to the Pickard family.
Do not know who's backing up Aiden Hill, and do not know who's backing up.
It would have been Logan Thompson last year, but
yeah, actually, the Caps would be happy with their backup.
Alas, it's not. No, they wouldn't actually.
Lindgren.
If you look at the stats,
right.
It's significantly. So Joseph Woll, I believe, is statistically the best backup of the 8 teams.
Yeah.
Although, is Freddie Anderson back, or are we still working with?
He's back, man.
Like a cat with 9 lives, that guy, man.
Didn't he just sign an extension?
Yeah, but I'm just to me, as a Leaf fan, that guy you cannot.
Yeah, he's here today. We'll see about tomorrow.
He is like glass, that guy.
Kochetkov, that's his other. I
Kochetkov,
was trying to think there was a Russian guy, but I couldn't remember his name.
Right. I wanted to say Nedeljkovic, but that's about 3 years ago.
Yep.
It's to have Wall as the guy coming in. We'll see. Now, the worst case scenario, like if you looked at
The worst case scenario is Joseph Wall goes second period tomorrow night. Oop.
Rodriguez,
Hammy.
runs him in the and like everyone's just like, hey, what's happening over there?
Dennis Hildeby, come on
This
down,
is
man.
the Hildebeest. This is what I'm saying. That is worst case scenario. Not even Matt Murray.
We got Matt Murray on speed dial at this point, man. He is one of the black aces.
So,
Fuck.
but I want to know, like listening to some Toronto radio today,
Yeah, I chose not to do it.
and they are calling out for you got to dress Revo. Or somebody called in and said we need Kyle Clifford, who is a black ace right now as well.
Was it his mother?
No, it was a guy. He's saying you need to sign that. You need to get him on the ice right now, and he'll injure somebody. And you're like,
I will admit, in my weaker moments in the last 24 hours,
do it.
give me Reeves. I don't give a shit if he's suspended for the rest of the playoffs. Changes nothing. Send him out there to grab one of these fuckers and say, hey, we're done with this.
Somebody, and don't make it Bennett. You should make it.
No, it should be Bennett.
Yeah. Hey, and so what's
Or
with?
grab. What's wrong with Kachuk? Is it abdomen or something? Body blows? Will that do it?
Yeah, I want to say groin.
Yeah. Well, it's a bad look to send Reeves out there to keep punching him in the groin.
Kick.
I'm not against
Punch,
it, but it's
twist.
not going to be a great look.
Wow. You're paying that guy whatever, regardless. Let it go.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see.
No one who's
you guys-
actually going to be in the lineup is pushing back. The only guy you have who's even in that is Domi, and he's just another pest.
Well,
and I don't trust him to know where the line is.
But we've already seen Bennett and Domi fight.
Yeah.
That did not go well for Domi.
Tell me, though, you agree that Domi penalty was...
That was bullshit.
What are you doing? And like, if we're setting a standard here, you failed terribly to live up to it the rest of the game.
There has been some very questionable reffing.
Yeah.
Right? In terms of, like I said, the Ekblad thing in the first round.
Yes.
Didn't get called.
Yeah.
And it's worthy. Like, he absolutely. And that whole thing where Domi's there and he skates into him.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, look at that. I turned around and go, that's got to be a penalty.
Yeah.
No, that was
odd. I thought that early in the game, okay, they're telling these guys, no bullshit. We're not doing this. And then, oh, we're doing it.
Wow. When you throw, it's like the Donald Trump version of hockey reffing when there's so much stuff coming down the pipe. I don't know what.
That's true.
I can't stop all. I can't call everything.
Flood the zone, they call it.
This is it. I'm just going to let it go. Okay, you know what? Forget it, man. It's Hudson Bay rules.
So I honestly, at this point, I am less certain now of how this series is going to go than I was before game one, and that's with my team up by a game. And I wasn't certain going in what this was going to look like. I would have said Florida in 6.
I would have said Florida in 5.
Sure, yeah. I don't think that's crazy. Now Toronto has a game.
Yeah.
There's an extra question mark in there in terms of goaltending, and I think Toronto did some things that they failed to do in 2023. And I think Matthew Nye's he's been so good in these playoffs, right?
Well, and all the people calling out for him to be the guy.
That's so stupid.
He's a moose. He's a big dude. And you're like, yeah, okay, he can forecheck and he can hit, but do you want that guy fighting?
Right.
Nah,
How about we keep him in the lineup?
not so much.
Let's bring
But you're hearing that everywhere.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, he's big, so he can do it. Well, then it could be Brandon Carlo, or he's also not a physical
Well, because Carlo was the one that was standing there when Bennett came through. He's like, nah, probably not.
I probably should have done something there.
Maybe. Hey, you, don't do that.
Before he got there.
Yeah, no, this is it. This is it. But I'm interested to see.
Toronto can't win that way. Toronto cannot match Florida.
Because that's what Florida wants.
Yeah.
They want you to get out there
Yep.
and start chasing after Bennett
Yep.
or trying to go after Bobrovsky.
Yep.
They want to see that
Fun
happen.
with that too, by the way.
Yeah, okay.
Someone puts his spine through the crossbar.
But that is what people want to see, right? And Florida wants to see that.
Of course
'Cause
they do.
If you do that,
Yeah.
they are just going to go.
All 5 Toronto goals came at 5-on-5. Get your power play going and trust that one of these referees is going to.
But if you look at what Florida did to Tampa's power play, which was pretty good.
It looked, yeah.
And
what Florida did to Tampa in general reminded me of that scene in Jurassic Park where they're lowering the cow down into the Raptors pit.
Yes.
Oh no. I don't want to be next for that.
Right. Well, and it's in the power play. Like, to me, they just kept Kucherov at bay. Like, and so when you saw a bit more of that, and again, listening to Toronto radio, they're like, well, if you ever needed more evidence that we're not playing Ottawa anymore, it was on the PK. Well, and you're like, hey, man.
In that exact same...
We understand what happened.
In that exact same way that Ottawa fans immediately were like, well, you're about to get your ass kicked. Toronto fans are still, well, at least we beat those guys.
Yeah,
right?
Fuck those guys. Yeah. So it's...
Whatever consolation that is for anybody.
Because if you guys try to be like Montreal, going after Wilson, running around, you lose focus, because that to me is where that series pivoted.
Agree.
And if you guys don't keep your... like, you won game
understand
one.
who you are.
And I think the winner of game 2 wins the series. If Toronto wins this... Mm-hmm. Man, they are in such good position moving forward.
We talked about that before the playoffs started. Ottawa, and then you think Tampa, who you felt like you would have matched up well, and then it's either Carolina, Washington. The path doesn't look awfully daunting, and yet the Leafs always...
But this is, with that, you get that monkey off your back in winning game 1 at home.
Yeah. Kachuk is, like we said, not healthy. I don't know.
And then
Bobrovsky didn't look very good. Maybe that was just one game. Like, goalies have off nights, but he didn't look overly impressive.
Yeah, I like their second and third much better. Like, you can't. It's a 60-minute game.
Yeah.
But the second 40 over the first 20.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we'll see what happens. Yep. But if Toronto can...
That first goal, 33 seconds in, cut immediately that pressure, that tension, that, like, what's going to happen here. It immediately let everybody go, okay. And now, like, you still could have gone on to lose that game, but you're not tense, waiting, who's going to score first, what's going to happen. It just immediately broke it open. And like I said, that 3-1 goal was, for me, the biggest one of the night.
And if you got late into the second, the arena had become a mausoleum again. Like, it was so quiet.
Yeah, things are going great for us, and... Now our goalie is barfing.
Well, this is it. But it was just so quiet.
Simon Benoit's skates.
Yes. Whereas it was right in front of Joseph Wall. I'm sure there was some on his pads. Like, I'm sure that's part of his problem.
Get in there, kid.
Exactly. Take the vomit with you. But the arena is going as bonkers as the Toronto arena is going to go to start the game.
Yep.
And then you score 33 seconds into the game.
Yep.
It allows that energy to not dissipate.
Yes.
Right? So... I think when we saw in the Ottawa series, also in that first game, the first 10 minutes, the crowd was cheering every hit, cheering it, and it allows the team to build on that momentum.
Sure.
And that certainly, I think, yesterday happened, right? Yeah. Bonkers start, the crowd is super into it, and then Nylander scores.
Yep.
And it's not just Joe Bowen having a heart attack, it's everybody in the arena, right? And so... I think it just helps to build that momentum, which I think the Leafs, as talented as they are, don't get all the time playing in that crowd, in front of that crowd.
And we've talked about it a bunch of times. It's never going to be a top 10 building in the league, but the playoff crowd is better than the regular season crowd. It just is. I don't know if it's that people stop taking clients and having to act professional or what. It's better. It's not elite, but it's better. Much like this show. We didn't cover half of what we wanted to. You get to stick around for another one tomorrow?
Of course.
Yeah, okay. We'll be better. Not elite, but better.
Elite!
We'll see you tomorrow.
The hell is that?
Number one bullshit. Oh, number one bullshit.
Why are you so pissy?